broccoli sprouts. They are an incredibly nutritious food that you can grow at home and do it quite easily. All you need are a couple things. Broccoli seeds, and these seeds I just typically get at Amazon or wherever I find there's a deal. You'll need soil. Best to use a starting seed soil or a soil meant for sprouting is typically what you'd want to purchase. Not having those other things in it would help prevent the growth of mold, for example. Something you definitely want to keep an eye on when you're doing broccoli sprouts. I typically just go to my local hardware store, like a Lowe's or a Home Depot, and buy the seed starting mix, which is really good for growing sprouts. Good enough. So the other thing you'll need are these trays. Typically have one tray without holes and one tray with holes for drainage. Probably also find these at your local gardening supply store. Relatively inexpensive, and you can pick up a couple of these rather cheap. Soil, trays, seeds, and then the other thing that's useful is to have a weight, and this ends up going on top of the seeds while they are germinating. Just weighs them down, simulates natural earth on top of the seeds, and the seeds like that helps them germinate. I just used a board that I cut out to make exactly the same shape as this, and added a little handle, but you can just even use another set of trays or another tray. It doesn't have to be too heavy. You don't want it too heavy, but having some weight helps simulate the earth. The seeds tend to germinate a little better. So with that said, let's get going. So the first thing here is to get some earth into the tray, and I just sort of eyeball it. Don't want too much. I want the roots of the sprouts to be able to go below through those holes into the tray below eventually to get water, but you want it deep enough to have some fairly sturdy soil to hold those sprouts. About an inch and a half of soil is probably where you'll find your best results. And the soil is actually a little old. It's in my shed. Just tap it down. There's really no wrong way to do this. So you want something flat, really. Okay. So there's our soil. And then what I'm going to do is, I don't have a lot of sprouts in here, so you probably want 2 to 3 tablespoons, and just spread them out. Again, there's not a really significant method to this madness. You want a nice supply of broccoli seeds, and you can see where my fingerprints kind of made some ridges, and the broccoli seeds tend to collect in those areas. You want to avoid that as much as possible, but it's not going to really hurt at the end of the day. You want to fill up as much as you can, much of this blank soil as possible. Get right on the edges. Look at that. I think this is good. So here is the soil with broccoli sprouts. And what I'm going to do now is grab some water. And so this is just a spray bottle that I got at, I think, Home Depot. I think it's meant for cleaning, but it works really well for spraying water onto the broccoli sprouts. So I just get it really nice and wet, evenly distributed. Really get them nice and soaked. What you're going to do for the first 3 or 4 days here while they're germinating. Let's try and soak them twice a day, just like this. Once in the morning, once in the evening. After that's been done, what you'll see will start growing. The roots will start going through those holes, those drainage holes that I showed you earlier in the trays, and they'll start collecting water that will just place once a day in those trays, in those bottom trays, and they'll just drink up the water. So this is looking pretty good, like I said, nice and wet. And from here, we just take our weight, and I can use this, or more likely if you don't have one of those, if you're watching this video, this is probably one of the first times you're doing this. Just get another tray, press down on it, and we're good to go. So I'm going to go put this away, and we're going to do another one. So again, we'll use up this Gulf green soil. I think I just got this from Canadian Tire. So let's just sink this up. It's done. We'll have to vacuum later. And this is a Miracle-Gro brand of same thing. This is the starting seed soil. A little older. Again, this was just in my shed, really dry. We'll just get a nice layer, about an inch and a half. After it all said and done. Just lay it out, spread it out, evenly distributed across the tray. And this one has like the little pieces of mulch in it. I don't really like that, but a little bit's not too bad. Actual garden soil, you'll have the really big pieces of mulch bark in there. That's no good. The other thing is a lot of these starting soils will have these little white pellets. They help absorb water and make it nice and wet. So again, what we're going to do, take about 2 tablespoons of broccoli seeds and just evenly distribute them across the soil. And again, we will just wet this. Nice. This one, again, I've just got a couple trays. I'm just going to put that on, and actually I'm just going to top it off, since I might as well, with my little weight there. Twice a day now, we will spray it in the morning, spray it in the evening. After about 3 days, we'll see a nice bit of growth. We'll take the covers off, and after that point, we will turn on our lamps, let the seedlings grow into nice big sprouts, probably about 3 inches tall, and then we'll harvest, and that whole process will probably take about 7 or 8 days. Okay, so this is the morning of day 1, and this is our tray, second tray here. So you can see the seeds still look pretty much as they did last night. And I'm just going to spray them down, and once again get them nice and wet. Cover them back up. And then get out first tray, and the same. The goal here is to always just keep them moist, just like that. Alright, so this is the evening now. We are going to do the spray for the evening. There we go. And we'll just leave them here. Okay, it's now the 3rd day here, and let's see where we're at. So you can start seeing some of these seeds are starting to sprout. So that's a good sign. And we're just going to continue wetting them this morning. This one. Looks like we have a bit of mold growing in certain places there. I'm going to have to take care of that. That's no good. Let's see if we can just salvage this. And get all the mold we can off of here. And this usually doesn't happen, and it's probably related to the fact that the soil is quite old. Okay. Continue dampening. Alright. See what happens. So this is the nighttime of day 2, and I'm just going to check in on the sprouts. So this is the tray. Earlier this morning we had a bit of mold. Just taking a look at it. It's interesting because you can see on a lot of these sprouts what looks like mold, but which is actually just, think of it as hairs from the sprouts as they're starting to grow and trying to collect as much water as they can, and they develop these little fuzzy things on them. I don't see any other signs of mold though, per se, so I think we're okay. We're just going to keep going with this batch. Just let it down. Same with this one. See the fuzzies on these individual sprouts, but no mold, so we're good. Until tomorrow. Alright, we're now in the morning of the next day, and let's take a look at our sprouts. Oh wow, so you can start to see how well this looks, but things are looking pretty good. And again, we see some of those fuzzies on the sprouts. This isn't mold. Those are just hairs coming out of the sprouts to get water. Still looking good. Still a little damp, which is great. Give it a not big enough yet to take off the top. Keep going. Probably another couple of days. All wet. And just for another visual, let's take it out of the bottom tray here. We look here, you can actually see on the bottom of the tray some roots starting to form. What we might do is just spray down the bottom of the tray a little bit with water to get some water to those roots. A little water here for the roots. Okay, put that one back. Now again, this is the one where we previously had a little bit of mold. Let's take a look. And as you can see, we're going to have some more mold here. We can try and get rid of that mold. I am worried we'll get more mold on this one. So for the sake of just safety at this point, given the mold, right, let's get some close-ups. Given the mold that we see here, right, and the difference between the mold here and then just the fuzzies on the sprouts that you can see, right, like here, those are hairs getting water. This is mold, right? Don't get that very often. In fact, I think this is the first time I've had mold. And again, that's probably due to this being old soil from my shed. Won't use that again. Okay, so we're gonna just garbage this one, and we'll stick to this one from now on. Yeah, So we'll come back again later today and add some more water to this one. And like I said, in a couple days, we'll be able to, or maybe even as early as tomorrow, take that off, put it under the lamp, and it'll start just growing. All right, so I actually missed last night giving it some water. That's okay though. I gave it quite a bit yesterday. So as you can see though, it is actually still a little moist from even around mid-morning yesterday when I did water it. But we're starting to get some growth here, right? And I'd say it's still not enough to actually remove that. I'd still want to keep the weight on it for probably the rest of today at least, before putting it under the lamp. But I suspect we're starting to get a nice bit of it's probably hard to see, but there's a bunch of roots there starting to peek out. So that's good, and we still have some moisture down here. So I'm gonna do this, fill this up with some water. And then give the top a bit of a spray. And again, if you look closely, it'll look like there is mold on this. But again, these are just hairs. Think of them as like roots just trying to collect water. Little fuzzies, and that's normal. So we're going to hide these bad boys. Girls, if you look at the sides here, they're actually kind of trying to peek out. That's normal. You start seeing a bunch of them starting to come out, and that's when you know that it's time to take off the top and start exposing it to some light. We're going to leave it for the rest of today, probably come back tonight, give it a little bit more water, and I think I'm just going to take the top off and put it under the lamp, starting from today. All right, let's take a look at what we have here this evening. So as you can see, lots of growth. We're at the stage now where we can probably move this onto the lamp. So before I'm going to do that, spray it down here. Plenty of water. Put it in here. Alright, so this is the next day, and so this has been going for a day and a half now. It's pretty nice. I was just like running my hand over top of the growth here. But what we've got, about an inch there, and over here we've got a little time lapse going on, so it should be good. The soil itself, just touching it, it's getting a little dry. I did add some water last night, so we'll go ahead and give it some water now. Right, here we are the next morning, and we guess still got some nice growth going on. Still got the time-lapse camera set up. All right, so these are edible at this point. We're not going to cut them just yet. I mean, we could let them grow for a day, two more days, even 3 more days probably. At that point, we'd start getting what's called true leaves growing, and that's when you definitely want to harvest your sprouts. I am going to probably harvest these tomorrow morning, maybe. For now, I'm just going to add some more water. As you can see, lots of growth. I don't know if you can see that. Lots of growth on the roots. And the time lapse is going to get all messed up because I'm moving this all over the place, but that's okay. A lot of water. Back down. And yeah, we'll check in again later. Maybe add some water. And then tomorrow morning, we'll give these a cut. We are ready to harvest our sprouts.
So this is the next morning. Really good growth throughout. This is looking really nice, in fact. So I'm just going to show you how I sometimes judge whether or not they're ready. So there you go. You can kind of see it here. This little leaf growing. So that is the actual leaf of the broccoli plant that's starting to grow. So once that starts showing up in some of your sprouts, that's a good indicator that they're ready to harvest. I just use a pair of scissors. Some people like to use nice scissors. Some people like to use ceramic knives even for a nice cut. These are just my kitchen scissors, so a little sticky right now for some reason. Okay. Grab some of the sprouts and go near the root. Give a little trim. Look for dirt, no dirt, and then I just dump them in here. So I'm going to do the whole thing here, and maybe we'll speed it up. Okay, so just one tray gives quite a bit of sprouts here. Microgreens. I keep calling them sprouts, but they're microgreens. And honestly, like, as long as I haven't picked up dirt from cutting them too close to the dirt, I don't even really wash them most of the time. As long as there's no mold, no dirt, probably just good to go. So yeah, start eating them today. Throw them in some salad. Throw them in my smoothie. Amazing.